Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talk About Houses. I'm Todd.
I'm Juana.
Okay, today we're going to talk about an article. Home buyers move swiftly to lock in a good deal now.
Mm-hmm.
Mortgage rates continue to melt as economists dream of a real estate rebound in the spring. I guess we're in the spring now, aren't we?
Yep, we
It's
are.
like the end of March. This article is a brand new article. It just came out. I thought the headline caught my eye.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I would read through and see if there was anything good in here. Turns out there is something. Now, some of this is obvious because what happens every spring?
Every spring, the buyers come out, the sellers come out, everybody comes out and plays, and we have a lot more transactions in the spring than we do in any other season.
Okay. Here's the first quote from the article. Mortgage rates are still falling as the Fed announced another quarter-point rate hike on Wednesday and indicate increases may be nearing their long-awaited end. Now, remember, Wednesday was this means last Wednesday. So this is a brand new article.
Mm-hmm.
The quarter-point rate hike on Wednesday was like the last one.
Mm-hmm.
They think it maybe was the last one. They were talking about a half. They said a quarter. In the meanwhile, the home buyer front is seeing improved purchase demand and stabilizing home prices, said Freddie Mac chief economist Sam Cotter. He obviously is not watching housing crash videos. He's the chief economist of Freddie Mac.
Mm-hmm.
So what does he know?
What
does Freddie Mac do?
So Freddie Mac insures mortgages. So he must be watching other videos on the treadmill in the morning.
He's watching our videos.
Okay.
Here's the next thing from the article. 30-year fixed rate mortgages. The average 30-year fixed rate mortgage slid further to 6.42 this week compared to last week's average of 6.6. A year ago at this time, 30-year home loan averaged 4.42. So it's like 50% higher, a little under 50% higher. Why haven't home prices gone down 50% to compensate for this? Because we were told that was going to happen.
Because home values and interest rates have very little relationship. Home values are based on supply and demand. Interest rates are based on other economic factors. But of course, primarily, they are based on the 10-year T-bill. So
we'll talk about that in a second. Okay, because I have a great chart that shows that.
Well, then
10-year.
I'm not going to steal your thunder.
No, it's your thunder. You're going to talk about it. I'm just going to show the chart.
Okay.
But I have it later on.
Okay.
I don't want to skip ahead. Okay, here's the next quote. With rates below 6.5%, more Americans can purchase the median price home by putting 18% down without being cost burdened, says Nadia Evangelou, senior economist for the National Association of Realtors. So median price homes, she went and looked at median incomes and how much a payment would be below 6.5% interest rate with 18% down and said, hey, a bunch of people could buy houses still, median price range.
Yeah. So, look, we understand that saving up money for a down payment is hard. We understand that initially that mortgage payment may be higher than what people were paying in rent, but over time that mortgage payment is fixed. So as their income goes up, the home becomes more affordable. Plus, remember that home purchase is subsidized by the government by way of having the interest and the property taxes be tax deductible.
Okay. We did a video a few months ago that was NerdWallet. People give us crap for that, but they took surveys. 37 million people said they intend to buy a house this year. Well, we know there's going to be like 4.6 million transactions. So like 32.4 million people are not going to get a house this year, right?
Right. But, keep in mind, people answering that, we all want things, right?
Right.
So just because that's what they would like doesn't mean that that's what's going to happen. And for the people saying, well, but people at the bottom of the economic rung, homes are unaffordable for them, you're right, they are. But remember, those people also have other issues. They have credit issues. They don't have savings. There's a whole host of other things. So there's a place for everybody in the economy. And some people are tenants, some people are homeowners, and some people are tenants on their way to being homeowners.
Right. So, for example, if you breed salamanders and your significant other collects wallpaper samples, your $1.2 million budget is probably not realistic.
I know nothing about salamanders.
I know. Okay. So here's another interesting one. The 15-year fixed rate mortgage trend. The average 15-year home loan tumbled from 5.9 to 5.68% this week. This time a year ago, the 15-year rate averaged 3.63. But what's interesting is we talked about these mortgage rates. Remember, this article is based on last week's data. It's already down from last week substantially. I've got another chart. I'll show you this. We had clients that came in. We talked about this on the last video. Buying a house 3 weeks ago, they were quoted 6.1 for 30-year. And what were they quoted? What did they in the 3 weeks it took them to find the house, and then they got the contract and they sent it to lenders. Said, okay, lock our loan. This is what we're buying.
Half a point.
5.6%. They're like, what? They go, yeah, it's only 5.6 now. It dropped to half there for their whatever credit score and everything else, 30-year fix. Oh yeah, it was 6.1, so 5.6 now. Right. And they're like, woo.
That's right.
Yeah, can you imagine that? So think about all those people that locked in those 7 when it broke 7 have refied. Probably a ton of them, because now it's 1.5% less. Might as well just refi and knock $600 off your payment or something.
Right.
Okay. Another quote from the article, and we did this on another video too, about new homes. There was an unexpected uptick in new home sales in February, inching up 1.1% from January to an annual pace of 640,000 new home sales, reports Realtor.com. It's still 19% lower than compared to the housing market a year ago, but sales may continue to rise as mortgage rates fall. Comparing anything to last year is going to be really difficult, because last year was sort of everyone knew rates were going to go up, and people the number of people that contacted us to either sell at the top of the market and then transition to a different market to buy when rates were still reasonably low. Like, it was unheard, like it was like a frantic pace.
Well, look, it's like comparing every car to the Batmobile. It's just not going to happen.
Right, yeah. Well, which Batmobile? The one from the original series was it was just a Corvette that they put that fake little burner on.
No, it's the one that I like.
Christian Bale one?
It's the one.
Tumbler?
No, I didn't like the Tumbler.
The Tumbler was cool. It has big tires.
I didn't like that one.
It was a bridging vehicle. It was meant to jump it was meant to create a bridge, jump a thing. Which one?
I like the one where you can eject people, and it's got the rocket on the end, and it has all the things that it spits out the back and all of that.
Oh, I don't remember that one. Maybe was that the Michael Keaton one?
I don't know.
It might have been. Okay, here's the next one. Although lower mortgage rates signal increased affordability, the median new home sale price climbed to $438,200 last month, 2.5% higher than the same period last year. We actually have different data on this. The data we have, and it might just be Las Vegas data, it's Las Vegas data. So median new home sale prices are up. New home, okay, this is the closed price. It's up 2.5% higher from last year. Remember, it was supposed to be lower this year. In Vegas, it went from 450 to 500, right? It was 12% higher in Vegas, year over year. We're talking like January to January. It was up substantially. Now, this lags a little, right?
It lags a lot, because remember, a lot of these homes go under contract 4, 6, 8 months before they close. So that's kind of deceiving. It's not as accurate regarding market trends as resale, because resale has a faster turn time, right? Resale will close within 30 to 60 days, while new home construction, can take 6, 8, 12 months to close, depending on what's going on.
All right, here's another quote. As long as the housing market remains undersupplied, buyer competition will put upward pressure on prices, explained Jones. You just talked about this in the last video. Multiple offers are back.
Right. Multiple offers are back. Now, they're not on every property. They're not even on a majority of properties. But the fact that they are making an appearance, and they're making a more frequent appearance, tells us something about the market. It tells us that buyers are back. It tells us that the shortage of inventory versus the pent-up demand is having this impact where we're having buyers come in at or above list price in order to get a property. Now, is this happening at every price point? No, but it is happening, and it's happening more and more, and it probably will continue to happen. We talked about it starting with January. It'll probably continue to happen March, April, maybe even into May, but we don't expect that it'll go past May.
Okay. The next one, mortgage applications continue to rise. Demand for mortgages rose 3% from last week, according to MBA. Homeowners have also been encouraged to refinance thanks to lower rates, with the refinance index climbing 5% since the week prior. So more people have refinanced.
Well, and the thing about refinancing is a lot of lenders over the last 6-8 months have actually put in their documents that if rates go to whatever happy point, they will do the refinance for free or for a very nominal fee. So these people that are refinancing, they're really getting the best of both worlds, right? They got a home at maybe a better price or maybe on better terms, and now they get a better rate. So good for them. I'm happy for them.
Yeah, there's actually loans out there. I was quoted one where I asked about the rate. I said, that rate's awful low. And he goes, well, the way it works is you get that rate now, and then in 18 months, we do an internal refi. And if rates are higher, we're screwed. And if rates are lower, then, you still keep the rate, but we basically are going to carry that rate for a certain amount of time. Mm-hmm. And I didn't understand it. He said he named the program. I don't remember what it's called. All I know is when I saw the rate, it changed the payment by a substantial amount, mm-hmm. because I can't believe that's the rate. And he goes, well, the way it works is we're expecting in 18 months rates to fall like 1.5% more. So mm-hmm. we're betting on the refi. That could be a thing that happens in the future where a bunch of lenders say, hey, we screwed up. We took a bunch of risk on expecting rates to be less. I think this is sort of a macro thing. The idea is that the short-term rates being higher are going to choke off the economy enough to cause recession. And then the Fed is going to come start dumping rates, and then money's going to get cheap again, and then the 10-year is going to drop, and mortgage rates will go down.
Right. So, using the numbers that we've been kind of playing with for the last few months, we've talked about this, that usually interest rate hikes go on for about 18 months, and then they start to drop off. We've already seen interest rate hikes for, close to 12 months at this point. So with that in mind, we're at the end of March now, so we're probably looking at interest rates starting to go down, certainly sometime this year, but if worst case scenario, by the end of the year, we're expecting interest rates to start going down. So these lenders are saying, hey, by sometime in 2024, 2025, interest rates are going to be so favorable that it'll all work out.
Let's talk about the 10-year treasury rate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The 10-year treasury rate, I'm going to throw this chart up here.
Okay.
Interest rate, the Fed has raised short-term rates from basically zero. The federal funds rate was like 0.01%.
Right. And that was during the pandemic when they were trying to kickstart economic activity.
Right. Yeah. They dropped it down to zero because it had been going up in 2019, mm-hmm. and then they choked it off to zero. Okay. But if you look at that chart, it's just up. Mm-hmm. It's the highest increase in interest rates we've ever had in a period of time, mm-hmm. in that period of time. Okay. But you can see the 10-year has not followed that. The 10-year certainly has been going up. The bottom of this is like 2.5%. So all the way over in April of last year, you can see there it was 2.39%, right? And it's 3.38. So the 10-year treasury rate's only 1% higher than it was basically April 1st of last year. It's not substantially higher. What's interesting is if you look at the peaks there, that was the peak. The peak was back in November, and then it started to climb a bit as mortgage rates started to get towards 7 again, but then they've been falling off like a rock, and you can see how much that it's dropped off.
Right.
And so tell them again why the 10-year is, when the Fed literally just raised rates last week a quarter point, but then mortgage rates have fallen by more than a quarter point. How's that possible?
Okay. So we need to kind of separate them a little bit, right? Okay, so the Fed rate has to do with short-term interest rates, so things like car loans, credit cards, short-term stuff. The Treasury note has to do with long-term interest, which is mortgages. And think about it this way, 10-year Treasury bill kind of equated to 10 years is about as long as people keep mortgages. So that kind of gives you an idea of what's going on in there. They're kind of looking at it and saying, hey, over the next 10 years, what are we looking at? And that's kind of how the mortgage rates are kind of baked in there. That's the easiest way I can explain it.
Right.
And I understand that it's much more complicated than that. So please, you can blast me if you want in the comments. But I'm just trying to illustrate it in a very easy way to understand, a very easy way to remember.
We are not professional bond traders or treasury purchasers.
No.
But the idea here is, like right now, you can get over 4% in like a brokerage account in a money market. Mm-hmm. but that could go to zero tomorrow, meaning those are monthly, it adjusts every month. You're not going to get that forever.
And it was zero a year ago.
Yeah, you zero a year ago, you got nothing. So you're asking yourself, well, why would I buy these 10-year things and pay why would I put money into something that's only going to pay me 3%? Well, because the 4% you're getting could go to zero.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the time you wake up and say, oh, shoot, I need to put some money in to something, this could be down to 1%.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're like, oh, I should have bought those 3% 10-year things and gotten 3%. But now, a year now, I'm not even getting that.
Right. And then the other thing to kind of keep in mind is, we do have inflation and that's kind of baked into all this. So it is much more complicated than that.
Okay, here's the next thing. This is a chart of the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
This chart is year over year home price appreciation or depreciation, whatever you want to call it. The dark reds are over 8 to 10.5. Those have been the two markets with the largest price decline: San Francisco, San Jose. Seattle was minus 7.5. Austin was down to like 6 or something, right? Mm-hmm. All those yellow ones on the West Coast are 0 to minus 5.5. So Vegas, Phoenix, Salt Lake City, Denver, San Diego, LA, Portland. All those markets either didn't go down or went down at the most minus 5.5%. Mm-hmm. A lot of those, as you know, are like San Diego and stuff are coming back. They're starting to come back as they do every spring. But then when you go to the right side of this chart and look at the East Coast, the South, and parts of the Midwest, you see price appreciations. Miami 12%, Orlando 9.3%. Isn't it counterintuitive that if interest rates are so much higher than last year, why are home prices up in Miami and Orlando?
Okay, so a couple of reasons. First of all, the pandemic taught us, if it taught us nothing else, it's taught us that people are very resilient.
Okay.
And so the fact that there has been turmoil in the economy between interest rates and inflation and all the drama, people have just said, you know what, the heck with it, I'm going to live my life and I'm going to move on with life. And so people are still purchasing properties. The other thing is, a lot of these places where we're seeing appreciation were places that were either terribly undervalued, which in the case of Florida, that's absolutely true. They were undervalued for a long time, and that has played a role in this. The other thing is there's been the mass influx of people, and for those of you that put in the comments a while back that Florida has only seen a net increase of, I think somebody said 2%. And I don't know what the numbers are, but let's just go with that. But you have to put that against the number of homes that were available for people to purchase. So when you're putting that against that's where you're seeing some of that appreciation. And then you're looking at other places like Buffalo and other interesting places. And those things have more to do with what's going on in those areas as far as growth, as far as new jobs, all kinds of things. So the Northeast, the East, and the South have been doing well for a number of reasons. They don't all share the same story as far as the reason they're doing well, but they're clearly doing well.
Anecdotal information. A VC went from the Bay Area out to venture capitalists, went out to Miami, and to meet with a bunch of startup founders and other venture capitalists that have moved out there, like Keith Rabois, famously, is a Silicon Valley VC guy. He went out to Miami. He literally said, I'm like, this is it. This is home. This is where it's going to happen. Anyway, the anecdotal information was, they said every single person they talked to, the words were, they're never leaving. They're never leaving Miami. They're not going back to San Francisco. A lot of people bail. When you see the people where they left, Seattle, San Francisco, San Jose, high amount of tech. Remember, the San Jose area includes, it doesn't just mean the city of San Jose. It's got Palo Alto and Cupertino and all those areas where there's a ton of, Facebook and Google and those tech companies. And then, of course, San Francisco is like hardcore. You have Uber and Airbnb and a bunch of, Twitter and all those places that are there, right? Big tech companies. They've left. Like a lot of them have left, or enough people have left to cause this. If you go on San Francisco and look at Zillow and look at homes for sale, homes that would have flown off the market with multiple offers 3 years ago are now, they sit on the market. They've been on, they're $400,000 or $500,000 less than they were, a couple years ago, and they've been on the market for 120 days, and nobody's buying them. And then opposite Miami, it's still kind of boomtown down there.
It is. The other thing is Miami has gotten a lot of press as far as very visible people have moved to Miami or the Miami area, and so this of course has just given other people the idea of going down there. For the people who said that they're never leaving, well, never is a long time, so I don't know about that. And for those of you that say, well, we just wait until the first hurricane hits them and they'll be out of there, not so fast, because remember, these are people that are coming from the Bay Area and they've experienced earthquakes. So as far as natural disasters are concerned, I think these people are kind of hardy, so I think they'll be okay on that end.
You can predict. There's actually technology, I just learned about this, to predict that a hurricane is going to hit you. Like, you don't like just wake up one day and walk outside and it's sunny and you have your latte and your MacBook and you're walking to your tech job and then all the hurricane hits. They actually have this technology now that they can actually see it like days before it happens and tell you, get out, it's coming, right? As opposed to earthquakes.
Earthquakes are pretty unpredictable. To date, we are not very good at having any clue as to when or if they're going to happen. But to that point, I really think that these people are pretty resilient, and I don't think that they're going to bail at the first sign of trouble in Florida. I think it's going to take more than that, and I think certainly there are a lot of other reasons why they're down there besides the beautiful sunny weather, the gorgeous beaches, and the tax structure. I think there's such a variety of reasons, and I think that they were just ready for a change. I think it's a new generation. I think it's kind of a new vibe down there, and to not overuse the word synergy, but there is some synergy down there with a lot of different people in those industries working together and creating and building something new. And I think it's exciting. I think it's the way it was in the Bay Area maybe 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So I think,
or more.
I think that this move to Florida has legs. I think that they'll be there for a while.
And we know this anecdotally because we actually went and visited the startup scene there.
We did, and I liked it.
It was actually, we were like, okay, maybe we should move our startup down there. And, but the problem is that would we still be able to do Las Vegas real estate video updates if we're in Miami? Probably.
Maybe we could do it from the beach.
The other thing about predicting, let's say you could predict the earthquake. And they said, hey guys, in 3 days there's going to be an earthquake. It's going to be a bad one. You need to get out. The problem is the power grid in California cannot handle everybody driving their Teslas out far enough away. The power grid, everyone would be trying to supercharge at the same time. It would suck all the power out of the grid. And the cars would just be parked all over the place trying to find a gas. They'd be hitching a ride with people's gas cars, right? Yeah. But actually, that's funny. I mentioned that, and people laugh and go, "Oh yeah, that's those EVs." But this actually happened the last hurricane in Florida.
Well, so
the opposite happened. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
There were gas stations that ran out of gas because so many people were driving through and stopping and filling up. They ran out of gas, but the state had electricity, so the people with EVs were able to drive, charge up, and then keep driving. Well, there were a bunch of places where people got stuck because they actually couldn't get gas.
Right. So then the other thing that happened was, I don't know about other EV companies, but Tesla actually sent an update to the vehicles to actually increase the range short term. It was a 7-day range increase. So they did it through software. So let's say, for example, that your car had a 300-mile range. Now they gave you like another 50 miles. So the idea was that people wouldn't have to charge as frequently and people could get out of harm's way. So that was pretty cool. I've never seen a gas car do that. So if I put in 20 gallons, my 20 gallons does not magically turn into 25 gallons.
I think the way it worked on that was if you buy a Tesla and you don't want the extended range, you just want the normal range, 215 miles instead of 300 and something. It's the same battery.
Right.
They just software limit you to only charging up to where you can get 200 feet. And then if you want the more range, you just go in the app and go, can you increase my range? And they go, sure we can. And you pay and your car goes further. Right. The other thing you do is all the cars are equipped to go super fast. Mm-hmm. But let's say you don't buy the performance edition. You can actually go in the app, because I looked in my app, I can pay $2,000 to get faster acceleration. Like, instead of 0 to 60 in 4.8, you can do it in 4.2 or something like that. And I'm like, my tires can't handle that. I already just put new tires on the Tesla. Anyway, we got off topic. But the bottom line is this. Real estate is less affected by interest rates, more affected by availability.
Right.
And going forward, if what they're saying is true, interest rates are just going to drop. It's more likely a year from now, the 30-year mortgages will be less in a year than they are today. And if that's the case, the best time you could have bought in the last couple of years was 2 years ago. 2 years ago when they were cheapest, they've run up. Or in the fall, like we said last spring, you should buy in the fall because there'll be, at least you'll have more stuff to pick from. There'll be more inventory, you'll be able to get the house you want. You'll probably be able to negotiate stuff. And then now it's probably not a good time to buy. We're not telling anybody you should buy right now. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Home prices may be way up in the fall. And you may have said, oh, I was waiting till the fall. Nobody honestly knows what's going to happen. All we can do is look at the data and then look at what's happening in the market and say, hey, is this unreasonable? But this thing right here, the median price for the whole country hasn't changed. And interest rates are up 50%. And the whole crash bro philosophy was that interest rates would crash it because of affordability. And it literally, you don't get a cheaper rate in Miami. It's, rates are up and home prices are up.
Right. So what did you think of the video? What did you think of us meandering completely off topic?
EVs and hurricanes.
Yes.
And earthquakes.
Exactly. So if we entertained you, made you laugh, if we bored you, if you got to spill your coffee, whatever it was, we appreciate it. Please like the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share the video, leave us a note, and tell us if you were on the treadmill or if you were drinking your coffee, what were you doing? We're interested in you. Please be nice to one another in the comments, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye.
Bye.